Hello and welcome to the SuperShow podcast. I'm your host, Chris, and today we have a very special guest. It's Alex Jones. No, it's not. It's Martin Ruffle
hey guys.
from Just Interesting fame. Hey, how's it going?
Martin. Thank you for the introduction.
And of course, we do have Alex Jones and Bam Bam Jamie in the chat as well.
It's coming back though. It's coming back.
I like it, dude. I think you should. Oh, you know who you look like now, actually? Jack Black in Mars Attacks.
Wow. Okay, that's a deep cut. Sure.
Specific.
Again, I'll take it.
All right. Well, Martin, we're very excited. You are our first guest on the Super Show podcast, a 5-star podcast, if ever there was one. I'm sure Just Interesting is a 5-star podcast as well.
It's about 4, really.
Honest.
Yeah, someone's dragging you down. Let's just put it that way. And it's Robin. No, I'm joking. Well, hopefully we could get both Alex and Robin on at some point in the future.
I'm sure they want to, yeah. I'm sure they love it.
Cool. Let's just we've got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, we'll figure out what you've been up to, Martin. We'll be talking about what we've been up to. We've been going to catch up on some news. Obviously, Ghost of Tsushima was the big thing that happened last week, but we missed that cutoff just by a bit for last week's episode. So we're going to be covering it this week. A couple of CoD and Nintendo related news, and we're just going to go through it. But before we get into it, I just want everybody to know that we are available on YouTube and podcasting platform of your choice. I'm talking Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast, and some of the other freaking weird ones. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SuperShowPod. And as always, this Patreon, this podcast is supported by our Patreon, patreon.com/SuperShow, if you would like to support us and help us, keep doing what we're doing. And as it's supported by Patreon, we've got some names to read out before we get into everything else. So hold onto your butt crack. Here we go, because we got Brett Zerbrick, Hacksaw Book Reed, Matthew Fronzo, Mindful Pig, Peaswad, Tristan Harris, and William Sherry. And of course, the big boys, Lonnie Thompson, and Return of the Mac, Skylar Music. Thank you so much for all of your patronage. We really couldn't do any of this without you. And hey, if we couldn't do this, that means that Martin wouldn't be able to be on here. So everybody wins, right?
Well, I'm not sure.
So
this has all been to get Martin Ruffle on our podcast.
I'm not sure people win by me being on here, really, but it's the first time I've been on here. I remember the ATG.
I don't think you should put yourself down that much.
The ATG
you used
show.
To be on some ATG stuff.
No, I was never on the podcast.
Really?
No, never.
I
We only had like 4 episodes of it.
No, live streams quite often. I'd come down just because I wanted to play games in work time. But in terms of the podcast, it never happened.
Yeah, right. Man. Oh, I miss those live streams. Okay, well, why don't you tell us quickly about Just Interesting if people don't know what it is?
Oh, yeah, we're Just Interesting. Just Interesting podcast is one of our main shows. And we shoot the shit. We talk about news, we talk about funny facts that we've learned, and then we tend to go over like either a big question of the week or a historical topic. So in our last episode, we looked at Tuskegee, which is like a racist experiment from like the 1930s.
Is that the Greek dip, yeah?
That's the one, mate. That's the one. The racist experiment.
How dare you? I think Jamie's trying a bit of a racist experiment of his own.
Subscribe to the Just Interesting YouTube channel for the next episode on Tara Masalata, Inbound.
Wow. Okay. Do you guys still do? I remember on the Uncovered podcast, was it From the Bunker?
Stories from the Bunker, yeah.
Stories from the Bunker. You used to do a quiz.
The quiz is still there, of course. Quiz is still there.
Hell yeah. Nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. So,
all right, cool. And
I actually wanted to make a request of Just Interesting for you guys to cover a topic. Because I've heard a bit about it, and then I suppose it's from about a year ago now that it all sort of blew up, but I wanted to hear more about it, and I thought, I know who the perfect people to look into it would be. And it's Elizabeth Holmes, the woman who started the company Theranos.
Oh, okay.
She scammed people out of I think her company was worth $9 billion at its peak, and she was worth $4.5 billion, and it was all bullshit. Like, it was all made up. And I thought you guys would probably be the best people to...
Good. I think we could probably do...
just to consider. You don't have to do it.
We could probably do an episode on scams, actually. That'd be a good one.
I'll tell you what would be good, Martin. You get Alex Jones on your podcast and you'd be like, oh, it's the Just Interesting podcast featuring Alex Jones.
Yes.
Guaranteed million
we'll
views right there.
Your name. Yeah. I thought this guy was banned from YouTube. It's like... Yeah, he could be.
Oh yeah,
He
actually,
should be.
maybe don't do it because Jonesy will get you kicked off.
Yeah. Also, the retention would be horrendous when people. So the first time
Yeah.
I said anything, and they're like, "Not the one I thought it was," and they just quit.
All right. Okay. Let's. Before we get into some catch up, I do have comment of the week. Lost some steam at the end there, but there you go. Today's comment is from Mirko. Great haircut, Jamie. A man of distinction, clearly.
Lying, but okay.
Came here from Spotify just to check. I was imagining something a lot more horrifying. On another note, the occasional chewing noises in the background really make me suicidal. So I can only apologize, Mirko. I don't know what you're talking about because we don't really eat on the podcast. But I do. But when I did read that, my mind first went to like, oh my God, Alex Jones, what has he done now?
Does one of us does one of us subconsciously like chew the inside of our mouths or something and make weird chewing noises? Because we drink on the podcast, but we don't eat on the podcast. That's a no.
So is it maybe a
it could be that.
slurping
Could be
noise?
the drinking.
Let me tell you, do you know what? I'll do a test sip now. And if Mirko kills
Jamie,
himself,
what is
then
going on here?
Chris, great minds think alike.
Oh, cheers.
Oh, that sounded horrendous.
I can
Did it?
I couldn't hear it at all. No.
That was our little test bed there. If anyone heard any noises there that they didn't like and they didn't agree with, then we know maybe we need to stop drinking on the podcast as well.
So I find that that's,
But yeah,
it's a key part of the
highlighted
podcast.
this comment because... Sorry, what's
It
that?
says it's a key part of the podcast to know what you guys are drinking. It's like, what are you having? It's like,
Listen, you know what? Like we have signed up to Dogma 95 and we are very into our cinema verite. So, you know,
I mean, that
we're
watermelon
just trying to
drink,
keep things real.
watermelon drink from last week sounded horrendous.
Honestly, my tongue was swollen for about 2 days after that.
Grim.
It looked like
It
you'd been
completely
eating
fucked me up.
sandpaper.
45
It's
grams.
so good,
Not
though.
100 mil.
It was nice.
I don't understand how that's possible. Like we said about it at the time, but I still don't get it. Like, how can you have 50% of your
It
drink
seemed
to be
illegal.
sugar?
It seemed illegal.
Yeah, but hold on, because
Yeah.
but you are forgetting something because grams and mils, they don't, you know, like there is a dilution factor or what is it? Not a dilution.
No, but there's not in the sense. So 1 gram a milliliter of water weighs 1 gram.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But
roughly, it's roughly comparable.
Water will, sugar, an element of sugar will dissolve into water, no? Or a liquid.
Yeah, but 50-50 would it dissolve? I've got no idea. Does like 100
because
mil
then
of
it's
water,
like-
50 mil of water.
Yeah, because it's just like
yeah.
a syrup, right?
Right, because I think the question is then, Chris, if you took 10 grams of sugar and dissolved it into 10 milliliters of water,
Would you have 20
would it
milliliters?
still weigh 20 grams?
Oh, I don't fucking know.
No, it'd double its weight. So if
Yeah,
you
so
took
you'd
a
have,
kilo,
you'd have 10 milliliters of liquid that weighed 20 grams because it has still had... Because the sugar dissolves, but it doesn't disappear.
Oh my God, I don't think it really matters,
yeah.
gents.
So yeah, if you got half a kilo of sugar and half a litre of water, mix them together, you'd get a litre of syrup.
Right.
And that would weigh a kilo. But then this is the issue. There's no way you dissolve 500 grams of sugar in half a litre of water.
Hey, never say never.
Let's give it a go.
Never say never.
That
I don't know.
If anyone
Chris's
will do it,
voodoo drink.
well, yeah, it's that I blame the bloody Koreans.
Well, you know what the
again.
weird thing before we move on to, I promise,
Whoa.
guys, it's a gaming podcast. We'll get onto the gaming and we'll involve Martin a lot more. I promise. But Martin,
Hey man, you're playing a game with your health, so it's kind of, it's in the ballpark.
and also Martin, maybe this is something that the Just Interesting boys should investigate.
I think so.
But I will say this, right? On the can, because it was from Korea, they've obviously got their own measurements. And over their measurement was a big white sticker, which was a British measurement, which was different. So, you see it a lot on like imported American sweets as well, like especially on like Reese's cups. Just
There
saying.
we go.
Oh, did you peel the sticker off to see what was underneath?
Yeah, it was not the same value. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head now, but it was not the same.
Weird. That
Anyway.
sounds fishy.
Fishy is as fishy does, I guess. All right, let's catch up, right? Because it's been
that
a
word?
hot week
Games!
it's been a hot week since we've all been together, and even longer since we've had Martin on, although not too long because he was on my stream yesterday. So
Yeah, true.
thank you for that.
He was.
Playing a bit of Warzone, which is nice. So, Martin, let's start off with you. Other than playing Warzone with me on twitch.tv/Hot what games have you been up to? What have you been up to? How has the lockdown been treating you?
Well, I've managed to play a few games. Old games, if you know me very well, I don't tend to buy games as soon as they come out. I wait until... There's so many games to play, right? I only got my PlayStation in the back end of 2018. So I've got quite a
golden
few,
years.
quite a few games to play. So I've been going through a few of the old school classics. So I've finished Uncharted 4 this week. Very good game.
Nice.
It's fantastic. I think for me, the series has actually got better as it's gone along. Haven't played The Lost Legacy yet, and I doubt it's going to be as good as 4. But, it's got better and better. The cinematics were incredible, as you'd expect from an Uncharted game.
Yeah.
The story was really, really gripping and compelling, and it looked amazing. So there was that. And then I've also played Batman Arkham Knight recently.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, very good.
Open world. I mean, a lot of people had an issue with the Batmobile. It was like a major thing, right? It was so many missions had it. And whilst I agreed that maybe it was used a little bit too much, I was going in there knowing that was going to be the case. And a lot of kind of the side stuff, where you were using the Batmobile for racing, I didn't do any of that. So I didn't feel like it was overburdened with the Batmobile.
Yes, Martin Ruffle, I agree with you. I think that the Batmobile got a bad rap in Arkham
I thought it was a little bit unjust. I thought it was okay.
Yeah,
it was fine. It was fine.
Jamie's
That's my own personal view.
No, I'm between you guys and the people who really fucking hated it. I didn't mind it within the context of the story, which I think is what Martin's saying, really.
Yeah.
I think it was a bit of a cop out that they basically said, what if the Batmobile could also be a tank? And using it in some of the puzzles was occasionally a bit like, okay, fucking grappling hook and reverse. I just want to punch people in the face. But
I didn't mind actually in the puzzles. I thought that was fine. What I had an issue with was, as you say, the tank gameplay. It was like playing Big Red One on PS2, the old Call of Duty game where you have like a field of tanks, of like 30 tanks you have to destroy. It was like that over and over again. And I understand that. But in terms of it being used in this main story, I didn't think it was too bad. It was all right.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Well, hey, you guys are lucky because I haven't even played it, because when it came out, and obviously I only had PC at the time, couldn't play it because it was fucking broken. I don't know. Did they ever fix that?
Yeah, it was horrendous.
I don't know. I've got a feeling they must have at least done something, because that was such a high-profile disaster on their part.
Yeah.
So hopefully they did.
And then
weird.
I have a slight admission around the tank on that game, the car in the game. Car tank, whatever. In that I actually bought a couple of skins for it after the fact.
Wow!
Yes, I think I got the 1989 skin, and just
for real money.
Yeah, it was pretty cheap. It was like it wasn't much. But
Jonesy didn't.
Go on.
I was going to say, is your middle name Michael Transactions? Come on.
If I play a lot of a game and I really enjoy it, I do occasionally put a little bit into it.
You've already put 50 into it.
Jonesy,
you've made your vote of confidence.
I'm with Jonesy there, though. To be fair, like if there's a game that I like a lot, I'll sink a little bit of my extra money in. I don't mind.
I've nearly 100%ed it.
Okay.
I think I'm. So I completed it. I finished all the story stuff. I've done like 95% of all the side, I did all the side missions. So I did nearly all the DLC, and then I just some of the Riddler trophies I haven't finished.
Tons of them.
And because I didn't want to.
Did you need to get all the?
I wanted to get the special ending.
Did you need to get all the? Just YouTube it, dude. Fuck it. Did you ever?
I wanted that achievement. I wanted to feel it.
But do you get the platinum without having to do all the Riddler trophies?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a part of the platinum. But I remember being really annoyed at the idea that there's this kind of true ending hidden behind all the side stuff, because I finished that story and did not want to do anything else. And so I had to YouTube it, which, I don't know, there's always a sense of frustration around that, having to look something up on YouTube just because you don't want to play it. Or you don't.
Well, you know who did it well was God of War with their secret ending, where you didn't have to do anything. You just had to go back home and sleep in your bed. I think that's how you do it.
Man.
Like really the barrier to entry on that is not hard, but you know, it's a nice little nod to the people that kind of go that little bit extra.
Yeah.
And what a moment too.
Yeah,
I still remember.
I'm kind of torn on I'm not really torn, but there's a little thing I didn't like about the God of War secret ending was that I was so excited at the prospect of getting Thor's hammer in a sequel that I needed them to announce the sequel immediately.
Tell me about it.
Because I've now been waiting for them to do the announcement, because come on, man,
maybe Jonesy, come early June when we get shown a couple of PS5 things. Your fingers crossed for God of War. I don't know what they're going to call it. 2. God of War Valhalla. So
I wonder if they don't even give it a number 2 at this stage. Because
it'll be some like colon name.
2 doesn't.
It's got to be Ragnarok, surely.
I mean, that was the hint, right?
Could be.
I thought that was the whole thing, was that it was going to be Ragnarok.
Yeah, because
it's got the world serpent in it. They talk about Fenrir. You've got the
the whole thing was that like God of War's being there kind of kicks off Ragnarok. But yeah,
Ragnarok. So I suppose
maybe.
I was just assuming. Maybe that's too obvious. I guess. Yeah. All I need, when they do like the super teasy trailers, all I need is like the hammer and with a hand that you can tell is Kratos' hand, just like wrapping around the handle and then it cuts.
You don't want that. You don't want that.
They can't do that because then that means Thor's dead, and we don't know anything about Thor in the context of that universe yet.
Yeah,
it might not mean he's dead though, right? It might mean there could be a whole range of reasons that you get your hands on the hammer.
Also, you know what? I don't want Kratos to wield the fucking Mjolnir.
You're kidding?
No, because he's got the fucking axe. Just the axe was so fucking good, equally as iconic. And I think they just work on like adding to that. I think that's.
I got such a nerd boner from the axe being so similar to Thor's hammer from Avengers, and the idea that the whole reason you can throw it out and summon it back was because they were leading you up to having Thor's hammer. I was like, I'm there. Give me the hammer.
I'll buy all the skins for it.
I just spent a few quid on getting Mjolnir 1989. I just really like the aesthetic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Martin, anything else you want to?
Yeah, I played the DLC for The Last of Us. Left Behind stuff.
Oh yeah. What did you think? What did you think on that?
I wouldn't have wanted to pay for it. It came with it came with the remastered version that was on PS Plus. Because
you never played it on PS3, right? You only played it on
PS4.
The remaster.
Played the remaster.
Yeah.
Never had a PS3. I had an Xbox 360 at the time. It added to the story, and it definitely developed Ellie's character. In terms of like the gameplay and the mechanics, it was kind of more of the same. The end of it, where there was just like waves of enemies, felt a little bit contrived, maybe a little bit unnatural when you're going back to Joel. If you guys have played it,
yeah.
But yeah, it was just an extra little bit, and definitely got me in the mood for the second one, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
not long to go now.
Really not long, is it?
Oh man,
no.
That's going to be absolutely insane, isn't it? Man.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's so weird being on sort of a media blackout from The Last of Us 2, but as an extension of that, not really being able to find out why everyone is so angry. Because obviously I don't want to spoil anything for myself, but I can see from a safe distance that a lot of people are still very passionate about The Last of Us 2 for not particularly positive reasons.
Yeah.
And part of me is just like, you know what? Don't get involved. That's people who have nothing better to do than spoil the game for themselves and get angry over the course of weeks, if not months.
But it's also like missing context, right? So
right, exactly. But at the same time, I kind of want to know what everyone's so worked up about. But I guess we'll find out.
So Martin,
I keep seeing tweets that really piss me off because and my brain. So I'll see a tweet and it'll go, "So Ellie does," and I'm like, "No," and I'll just like scroll away, or I'll see like the name of a video.
Jonesy,
on YouTube
you'll never know if
something.
Ellie does bukkake or not. So
I don't care. She can do it. She can not. It's completely up to her. I just want to play the game without it being spoiled.
I know she's older now, but having the Last of Us version of Ellie, no.
Wow. Well, just gonna. All right, fine. Martin,
That's
so
that's probably why she's a lesbian now. Because she's like, you know what, I'm out. I've seen all I need to see.
surely lesbians could bukkake each other.
You know what? Let's know.
No?
We've got a guest, Chris. We've got a guest.
Yeah, that's Ellie does. Was it straight for pay? She does the other way around. Wow, like she gets paid for it.
Wow. All right. Well, Martin, I wanted to ask you, Last of Us Part 2.
Yes.
Because you don't usually buy games to your own admission when they launch.
You steal them.
You just steal them. But do you think you're going to be tempted with Last of Us Part 2?
This and Ghost of Tsushima, those two games I'm really like, I'm so excited for. And especially because there's so many rumors and stuff flying around. Well, not rumors, but spoilers, basically. I am tempted to go for it sooner rather than later because I know that at some point it's going to get ruined for me. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how I feel on the day, but it could be a day one purchase potentially.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's got to be.
Well, what about you? You are the two sons of guns. What have you been up to? Who's going to take first?
You go first, James.
Mine has been one of mine is going to be something I've played. One of mine is going to be something I have stopped playing, and I think you'll be more happy with the second one. So Warzone. I jumped in with you guys the other day for the Hot Panic stream with Martin Ruffle and also Steph the Mayor Sandwich Murphy. So we had a nice little session on Warzone, which was very good. I haven't jumped into that for about a month or so, so it was kind of odd going back into it because I found that I'd forgotten some stuff.
Oh, dude, me too.
It's been that long.
Yeah,
I had a really good session. Like I really enjoyed it. It was
fun.
great.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, Jamie was giving us a lot of pointers on voice chat, which is nice. Thank you, Jamie.
Oh, he has been putting work into his Warzone like tactics. You can tell because he was like, "You go for these contracts, you parachute into this place, you get this gun, you do." And I was like, "But it was useful. It wasn't quite really that useful, intense, to be fair."
James,
well, it was that
and
intense.
also it wasn't even like deep level stuff. It was just kind of like, no,
make sure you put your shields in.
You guys are
run away from the guy shooting
you guys
your
are literally
face.
Playing horribly. Please do anything other than what you're doing right now.
Come on, that's unfair.
Yeah,
that's unfair.
Dude, I'm going to tell people, this might not mean much to people who aren't familiar with Warzone, but there was one point you guys were stood on a roof. There was like, it was only like the second or third circle. You somehow had about 40 grand between you. There was a buy station about 10 meters away, and I think it was
we
Steph.
just stood there.
Steph goes, "We should probably just post up here," and everyone's like, "Yeah." I glanced down. Chris had no armor plate and 20 bullets in an Uzi. I was like, "Yeah, let's just chill. Let's just chill."
On top of a roof, yeah.
Listen, I think we can agree that on that session there were some lows, but there were also some highs.
Yeah, a couple of.
You also came
my
10th. You placed 10th place that exact match. Actually,
yeah.
So.
No greasy W, but it's okay. The 10th we'll have to do.
My favourite play though was still in that when we went well outside the circle. On I think I was one who said it as well. I like going to the prison first, no matter where it is, because then you do get loads of stuff normally, and you hop in a helo and you can go anywhere you want, and that's exactly what we did. We got loads of loot. We were a lot of high level weapons and stuff. We were ready to rock. It was amazing.
Jonesy, do you know where we went with that helo?
Yes, what I'm about to. Well, no, I'm about to say like what happened.
Do you know where we went though? Because you can go anywhere in a helo.
Where? What?
Don't worry, totally lost carry on.
Anyway, so then Steph, the idiot pilot, just decides to fly straight through the tunnel of the prison, kills us all instantly as he hits the wall, and that's game over for all of us.
What was better, Jones, is he almost made it. He went through like,
yeah,
we were like, whoa,
he did,
and then it exploded.
Yeah, right at the end. Even better than that, though,
I'm glad he didn't make it.
He pulled the George W. Bush and he goes, "Guys, watch this," and then he went through the tunnel. Oh God,
I'm kind of glad he didn't make it though.
That's
if he had made it.
Listen, Steph's,
we would just heard about
Steph's the wild card. You know, like you need that in a couple of streams sometimes.
You do.
So I was good for it. What was the other thing that you were talking about?
So I have not played at all Animal Crossing.
Oh.
I'm done. I'm out. My
turnips
got spoiled last week because I just left it, and then I was like, do you know what? I'm done.
Yeah,
wow.
Didn't shift.
When it gets to that stage, I think you can cut ties, can't you? Pretty easily.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
got no skin in the game anymore.
Yeah,
still no BioShock.
Yeah.
All done,
Jonesy.
I haven't finished it yet. No,
2 hours and it'll be done. Be done for everyone.
Literally.
I played some more Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. I probably put more time into that again this week that I could have just finished BioShock.
Maybe what we should do, Jonesy, is kick you out of next week's podcast so that you've just got 2 hours spare and just finish BioShock.
Maybe, yeah. So the time we spent doing the stream on Hot Panic, I probably could have finished BioShock.
No, but I need you for the streams. It's okay, don't worry.
But you know, I had a lot more fun playing Warzone on a stream with you guys than I would have done finishing BioShock. And that's not to insult BioShock. I never played it at the time. In case anyone listening is like, BioShock's a great game. It has not aged that well in my sort of estimations, and I'm finding it quite tiring to sort of just slog through it.
I don't know if you get to use the present tense in that sentence anymore. You haven't played that game for about 3 months. You found it quite tiring, and then that's why you stopped playing it.
I think I stuck with it for about 2 weeks, and I played quite a lot of it.
Do you know what's mental?
I was just like, I'm over
it. You're over it now, but I remember being at Chris's house back when we were recording the podcast there, and talking to you about BioShock when you basically just rediscovered it. You must have played the first hour or two. You were so into BioShock, you went out and bought Prey. And now you can't even finish BioShock.
Do you know? No, but do you know what it was? So Infinite. I love Infinite. I think BioShock Infinite is a great game, and I I played that on PS Now on my PlayStation 4. Like I genuinely sat and played with that kind of laggy, bad controller and really enjoyed the game.
Did you finish Infinite?
At the time, you couldn't. This was quite a while ago.
Jonesy, did you finish it?
Then, I finished Infinite. Yeah, loved it. Thought it was a fantastic game. So that kind of led me to actually when I could get 1 and 2 and play them. I was like, oh yeah, amazing. But 1 is just so much more of a go through the level, go back here again, turn around and go back there again, go to that again, go to that. And it's just every enemy is kind of boring. The big daddies get so repetitive. I'm just like, wow. And ammo, there's never any ammo. And I'm like, for God's sake, I've got no ammo again. Brilliant. It's just painful.
Wow, okay.
It is possible to complete that game.
But that's what games used to be like.
I said it is possible to complete the game.
If I just played it, like you said, for 2 hours, I'd finish it. But it's just.
I'd actually like we're just assuming that you got 2 hours left. I'd love it if you just actually had like 20 minutes left. Just finish it.
Oh, don't.
I think it's closer to like 3 or 4 hours. I think Jonesy's just before the bit. Oh God, the weird like plastic surgeon, like arty musical guy who.
Fort Frolic.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, the dude in Fort Frolic.
No, I've killed that dude.
Okay. It's the guy who's like he's got like a stage and you have to go around taking pictures of people and painting pictures for that stuff.
You're right. I'm halfway through that. So
okay.
There's like 4 doors you go through and he opens them. I can't either. But you have to take pictures of things for his weird design, and then you keep going back to the central point.
And you have to like pin the pictures on the mannequins.
The area is called Fort Frolic.
Right, okay.
Right. So I'm like halfway through that area and I was just like, I've got 2 more of these friggin' areas to do for him. I'll come back to this.
Fair enough. Okay. You're not as close to the end as I thought, but yeah.
But you know what? I will go and finish it because I want to finish it. I want to get to the end is what I want to do. I just can't be bothered at the moment with the gameplay.
The other elephant in the room of Jonesy's rediscovery of BioShock is that he doesn't remember the twist.
Yeah. Good.
I don't remember the twist. I don't.
So you get to experience that again. That would be kind of cool.
That's kind of why I'm bloody playing it. But I want to get there. But to get there, I have to go through the shit I don't want to do.
Yeah, again, I think you're mixing up your tenses there because you're not playing it. Anyway.
I am playing it. I am. I'm playing about 20 games at the moment that I haven't finished, all stacked up.
Hey, look, I'm not one to talk. I still have Hollow Knight and Sekiro to finish, among others. So.
Martin Ruffle has now made me want to platinum Arkham Knight. It's made me remember that I need to get a few more of those trophies to finish that.
Here we go.
Martin might be from a non-gaming related podcast and YouTube channel, but he absolutely puts us, but certainly you two, to shame with the amount of games he plays and how quickly he gets through them.
This is true.
When I play something, I'm quite focused on getting it done. I'm a bit of a completionist, a bit obsessive about getting things finished because I think for me, the story tends to be more important than the gameplay mechanics. So I want to see out the story. Like, if it's great gameplay, then fantastic. If it looks great, then great. But for me, it's all about the story. So I want to get these games done.
I'd say that I was the same, but I'm just not like I'd like to. I just can't find the time to dedicate to stuff. Although, having said that, I have finished a game this week. Like I said, I would.
I don't think I know what this is. Do I know what this is?
Yes, of course you do. Yeah, it's Final Fantasy VII Remake.
How did you not finish that by this time last week?
No, I said I finished it.
Yeah, but no, what I'm saying, on the podcast last week, had you not finished it? I could have sworn you had.
I think I had I was on the last. I might have. I don't know.
Right. I thought you'd finished it last week as well. I thought
I had a couple
that's
more.
Why I was. I knew you'd finished it, but I thought you'd talked about it last week. My bad.
No, I think I hadn't finished it yet. I wanted to, and I think I was 2 boss fights away.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Actually, that makes sense because then we joked about boss fights and the fact of Sekiro and saying you love boss fights.
I do love boss fights.
I know someone else who finished that game too.
Yeah. Put your hand up if you finished Final Fantasy VII Remake. Hey! No.
For people listening to the audio version of the podcast, Chris and I put our hands up just there.
Yeah, fair enough.
You did.
So Jamie, we said that we're going to wait for both of us to finish it, and then we would do a spoiler cast. We're not going to do it in this podcast itself, but I think we will probably do it for patrons at some point, maybe within a week.
I should imagine so. You get to strike while the iron is hot, right?
Yeah. There's some spicy things to talk about there. But yeah, do you want to give us like a brief thoughts on the game?
It was all a little bit overwhelming and emotional for me because I've been playing this game. I got this game day one and had put maybe like 15 to 20 hours into it up until earlier this week to give you an idea of just how slowly I was playing this game. And when you finished it and I knew we had to do some stuff for the podcast, I was like, right, it's time to nut up or shut up and just get this bitch done. So I'm a bit of a nerd, I know, but I looked at the trophies to get the kind of the data for how quickly I played through the final third to the final half of that game. Yeah. I did chapter-wise in 2 days what, Chris, you did in, I think, 19, to give you an idea of just how much I caned it. I think, not yesterday, but the day before, I played it for about 8 hours in one day. Just thinking, keep going, keep pushing.
Oh, man, to have 8 hours free in a day, that would be
it was one of those things where I can organise it in such a way where...
If I could swap lives with Jamie for a week, I reckon I could finish every game I have.
Fuck you both. I'm going to stand up for myself here because I'm going to say, do you know that job?
I'm not slagging you
off.
The
job, the thing that I have and you two don't? I actually did my work early enough to give myself the time to do 8 hours of gaming a day. What you two do with your days, I don't know. Wanking and sitting around, apparently.
Well, yeah, it's a full-time job, dude. Come on.
So unfortunately, I have a job, but it's working for myself, and it's not very lucrative. But, I know your job pays real money, but that's a bit different. But I've got to move how I'm sitting. This is really
it's not something. It's something I wish I could have done prior to that day and just get this fucking thing over and done with sooner. But no, I'm glad. I'm glad I got there, and what an interesting game.
From not being able to play more than an hour at a time. Did you just resign yourself to 8 hours? You were like, I'm going to do it regardless of what happens now.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think I'd been telling people, everyone kept asking, like, how are you finding it? Where are you? And my answer was always like, every time I sit down to play that game, I put an hour into it and something makes me want to stop. I've been quite outspoken about the things I don't like about that game. And there are many of those things. So this was just one of those things where, when you just have to push through the pain barrier, kind of like a long distance runner when they get that internal voice that says, just keep going. My one does that for Final Fantasy VII Remake. And,
identical.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so really what it tells me, if anything, is that I could be a professional athlete and or a master of just about any craft, but I've chosen to focus specifically.
Is that why you shaved your hair, to be more streamlined?
The next Mo Farah.
100%. Yeah, well, you're not the first person to say that. The Jane bot is going to take over the world. Shortly.
But yeah, okay, so the game, right? Like, I think, funnily enough, even though we're coming from different backgrounds of having experienced the game, we've pretty much settled on a very similar trail of thought on it.
In that it's agonizing and excruciating, but still kind of okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have gone that hard, but yeah, I think the broader strokes are more where we're kind of in agreement. It's a flawed game. It's a shame. It really is a shame. Especially, I think you said it. Your biggest gripe, and I'm right there with you, is the issue of pacing. Mm-hmm. Yep. It can be glacial at times, and it's a bit of a shame.
One of the bits that intrigued me, you guys was I was privy to the WhatsApp conversation. You guys had 60 missed messages where you were just discussing FF7, and one of the bits that I read and I was like, literally, do you mean it's literally? Was that Jamie saying that he opted to go up an elevator or a lift and fight enemies, and Chris said it's a good thing you did that because you could go up the stairs, but you literally have to climb 54 flights of stairs, and I was like, but surely not really.
Yeah. No, really, and I think that's that's a throwback to the old game, because the old game did that as well. But it felt like a whole kind of like, it's a troll, right? It's like, hey, if you want to take the stairs, you're an idiot. Why would you want to take the stairs? So you're gonna fucking take the stairs, and you're gonna climb up like 59 flights of stairs now.
How long does that take? Like in real time, does that actually take?
It's you know what? It's longer than you want it to be. Let's just put it that way. In the old game, halfway through, you'd get like an elixir potion, which are quite rare. But in this game, it was removed.
So there's no reason to do it.
Well, you'll get some dialogue options. So for the diehards who want to go back, because once you finish the game, you can go back to any chapter. You can go back to that chapter and you can walk up the stairs to have the dialogue options if you want. But yeah, there's no real point. There's some cool stuff in the game. Like, it does a lot of cool stuff. It innovates in a couple of areas as well. The story of Final Fantasy is always, or Final Fantasy VII in particular, is always great. But I feel in this episodic way, they've kind of butchered it a bit because let me put it this way, right? Final Fantasy VII, the original, Midgar City, which is the remake, takes place just in Midgar City. That takes about 1/5 of the entire game. Right. So you're saying, hey, this is a new game. We've fleshed everything out. It's like, yeah, sure. But your character arcs you're fleshing them out more than they were, but you're not getting any development or fulfillment from them because, hey, guess what? You're only 1/5 of the way through the story. It doesn't really make much sense. Then they did this kind of weird thing at the end. I don't want to go into it because it is spoilers. But they basically changed the ending in quite a dramatic way to kind of say, hey, all bets are off. Anything is possible going forward. It's a good idea, but I think the execution was kind of poor. And especially talking to Jamie, I was saying when I was playing the game, I was looking at it from two aspects. One of someone who's played the game before and also trying to think of it if I had never played the original, how would I feel about this? As I was going through each chapter, and especially thinking of Jamie and his suffering. And it kind of... It's not friendly for new players. I'll just say that much because there are some shit going on where nothing is explained and you'd only know it if you've played the original game.
Yeah, the word I used, I think, at the time, and it might sound over dramatic, but I do kind of believe it to a certain extent, is betrayal. This is a game that asks you to take the time and have the patience to stick with what is very clearly 5 to 6 hours of a game stretched out to 25 to 30 hours of a game. And I do wholeheartedly believe that this game was unnecessarily stretched out and is full of padding, Yeah. And, it warrants it in some respects. And I do feel like I got to know certain characters. And for a long time, I was very involved in the intrigue because it sets up a lot of questions and there are kind of unanswered elements of the plot. But the ending, was ultimately a betrayal because it doesn't answer the questions that you want answered as someone who's not familiar with the original game. Yeah. And the answers it theoretically does give you mean nothing to you. To you.
Is it justifiable in the sense that it is supposed to be an episodic game?
It would be justifiable if this was episodic in the way Telltale games are episodic.
Yeah,
right.
If this ended with a teaser trailer saying Part 2 is available in 2 months, or I guess in Telltale scale 6 months, that's fine. But this is Square fucking Enix, who spent 10 million years making this game in the first place. When is the next one going to be, and how much of it will that answer? Because I'll be honest, if that's the next 6 hours and this is some 10-part series, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, they can't do that. I think that
it feels episodic like Star Wars Episode 1. It's just know what I mean.
I think they said that they were currently looking at it as a trilogy. But again, it's I don't know how they manage it. But I agree with you, Jamie. The padding was way too much. Not to say that they didn't need to flesh some stuff out, but it didn't need to be. So it's a 40-hour game by all accounts, right? It doesn't need to be. It could have been a 25-hour game and been
less
and be better for it.
I mean, there's an interesting point you said. You said that it wasn't friendly to new players. Do you reckon that's because of the length and the padding, or the fact that it doesn't really make sense? And on that point, was the first original Final Fantasy VII, was that friendly to new players? And was it friendly because it made sense, or because it was short?
Well, no, it's not. So the original was not a short game.
How long was it?
It's like 60 hours.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, what they've done here is they've taken the first 1/5 of that game and turned it into its own game.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong. It's friendly to newcomers in terms of its systems and the gameplay and the mechanics and what have you. It's not friendly in terms of story. Because what happens is any resolution that you're looking for, fuck it, man. Some of the resolution that you're looking for, Jamie, comes shortly after what you've just played in the main narrative. Do you know what I mean?
It's hard to get into specifics, but what you've got to imagine is they're remaking a game, and they are generally speaking making it fairly accessible. Like they're introducing characters as though it's your first time meeting them, and where there are characters that you don't have any presumptions about and you don't know their backstories, you don't know their origins and their motives. They are made to look like a mystery. They're made to, you're not meant to know who Sephiroth is or what he wants to do, and that's fine. Where that all falls apart is in the ending, where, in my opinion, to buy into the ending that they've presented and to understand it and everything it's trying to communicate, you need to have an existing knowledge of a very specific element of the original game. And as someone who didn't, it was very hard to know what they were alluding to, and it felt like an unfair cliffhanger to be left on for potentially years.
I think you said it, Jamie, didn't you? Where it's like you still weren't sure of who Sephiroth was or who Jenova was.
Right, there are straight up questions that just haven't been answered. Yeah. And I guess because they hadn't been answered yet at this point in the original. But again, if you're going to turn 5 hours into 30 and put these games years apart, I think you need to address that.
Yeah.
Can I ask, maybe this is going too far, but do you think that this game or trilogy is effectively pandering to and squeezing the original fans of the original? Are they literally remaking a game to do that?
No. There's too much new stuff. There's too much craft. There are too many cool and interesting ideas. And also the other element...
It's not a cash grab. Yeah.
Right. And the other element that Chris touched on...
Not cash grab, but... No, you know how we talk about the fact that... You know how we talk about nowadays that with remakes and remasters and all sorts of things, is effectively they know they've got a captive audience that they already have going into it. I was just wondering are they being a little bit more cynical than that, and that they're basically saying
no.
No,
I even for everything I've got to say that's not good about this game, I personally cynicism isn't what comes to mind.
Yeah,
when I think about this game's shortcomings.
I'm kind of psyched for the spoiler cast. I must admit, I'm never going to play the game, so I'm going to be there. We're listening, and it'll be the first time I can watch a Patreon video, and I'll be like, "This is so exciting! I don't know what it's all about."
It's going to be spicy. I'll tell you that much.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, good. Jamie, anything else that you've been playing or doing?
Yeah, God. Other than finishing off my adventures in Midgar, it's really been an open world crime shenanigan flavored week for me.
Yeah.
I'll give a quick shout out to the now 7-year-old game GTA 5, which I picked up on PC because it was free on the Epic Game Store. At the time of recording, I think it's still free, but if you're listening to this, then it probably isn't anymore. So hopefully you picked it up or already own it. I just quickly wanted to say that I think that game running on a PC at ultra settings or whatever, all that kind of jazz and a high frame rate, that does that game a lot of favors, and it holds up remarkably well. I had to play the first half an hour of the game to kind of get through the earlier stages and the missions you can't skip. And I was like, wow, this looks nice and feels nice. And this city feels kind of living and breathing in a way that still very few open worlds kind of have in the last 7 years. So I guess
Jamie, dude, you can get on the mods now as well. Like you're on PC.
I can, yeah. That's kind of part of the reason I downloaded it.
Yeah, the ultra realism mod, all of that shit. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I did. I must admit, I was tempted to do a live stream of GTA 5 online purely because, so Jamie was saying the other week about the fact it was going free. So I got it on Epic Store. I haven't actually played it yet, but if you play it, you also get $1 million in the online for the casino.
Oh, the casino again.
Yes. So I was like, amazing. I think I need to play, but you need to play it in order to get it. So you play the game, you have a session, and then they send you the cash because they just give it out. And I thought that might be quite a fun live stream to revisit, obviously, ATG when Jamie and I did the trying to spend $1 million in the casino.
That was
you're reopening the High Rollers Club, Jonesy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That was a good stream.
You'll have to come on with me. We'll have to do a little co-op.
What day is it? I think I'm busy, actually.
I have no idea.
I'm busy.
Yeah, sorry.
You'd love it. What are you talking about?
I'm waxing my barber that day, so.
Yeah, I've got to play 8 hours of Final Fantasy again.
I'm going to walk up the stairs.
I want to replay those stairs.
Yeah, exactly. But really quickly, I will just say the other thing I've been playing is the Mafia Trilogy, or at least the components of the Mafia Trilogy that are available at the moment. Which
mainly Mafia 2, right?
Yeah, basically. So what happened was they have announced the Mafia Trilogy. Mafia 2 and Mafia 3 Definitive Editions are now out already. I guess out in quotation marks, maybe in the case of one of those two games. And a remake of Mafia 1 is scheduled for late August, and that will complete the trilogy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I'm only making this declaration because I've had people ask me on the Discord whether or not I'd recommend this game. And my answer is, at the moment...
Being Mafia 2?
Mainly Mafia 2 I'm talking about here. And my answer is at the moment that I can't, in good faith, recommend it right now.
Wow.
That's maybe not what you expected to hear. I've got to clarify that Mafia 2 is
like one of your favorite games. Sorry,
Yeah, that's the thing. Mafia 2 is still Mafia 2. That story is still that story. The fundamentals are still very much the same. I just think that this is not a particularly well done remaster at the moment. I played about half an hour before I decided to stop and wait for a patch. I had constant audio issues. Every cutscene, I don't know if they got the channels mixed up, but I was getting dialogue only coming out of one channel, which for headphones meant I was getting dialogue in one ear.
Right.
That was doing my nutting. The frame rate was really unstable. I was getting pretty constant hitching. There were other bugs, physics issues. I was getting weird issues with light and kind of like lighting, being indoors in an indoor environment and light, it was like floodlights were on 6 feet in front of me. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, do you know what? I didn't wait 10 years to replay Mafia 2 like this, so I'm just going to wait until it's better.
Right. Such a shame, man. Such a shame.
And that is a shame. And again, I've got to stress that Mafia 2 fundamentally is still the same game. And I think the job they've done of remastering is fine. It's an up-res, It's a game that has been slightly improved in terms of the resolution and maybe slight tweaks to lighting and stuff like that, but it's not dramatic.
Yeah, so it's a remaster, not a remake.
Exactly, very much a remaster. Very much that kind of in the 2014 vein of things where games just came out at high resolution.
HD.
But right.
Did you ever play it, Martin?
Mafia 2.
Any of the Mafia games?
I played Mafia 2 for like 3 or 4 hours, I'd say, and then fell off. But I wouldn't mind going back to it. But I'm not rushing out to go and get that. It wasn't a game that I was crazy about at the time. So, but I do like the setting.
Yeah,
setting's cool.
And of course, that stuff's all intact, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And I can also just say I launched Mafia 3 because Mafia 3, I was very confused with the whole situation. They've released something called Mafia 3 Definitive Edition, except it's not really a release. It's basically a rebranding of Mafia 3. And that's why it's not that controversial. If you own Mafia 3, then you own Mafia 3 Definitive Edition. But they haven't done anything. So I don't know why it's called Definitive Edition.
That's literally
Definitive Edition is usually like all the DLC and stuff, right?
Right, but it doesn't. Normally, so they made the DLC free, but it doesn't include the DLC. You still have to go and find it in the store and download it. And there's a weird thing where in the EU version of the PlayStation Store, one of the DLCs hasn't even been made free yet. It's the DLC called Faster Baby is still like £12. So I don't know.
It seems rushed. The whole thing seems rushed.
Right. There are also
it really does.
There are also reports that the 1.10 patch, which was the patch that came out alongside the definitive. Oh my god!
There it is.
Definitive Edition has busted the game, especially on Xbox One X. A lot of people saying that it seems to have undone the Xbox One X improvements and maybe running at a lower resolution. And also Mafia 3 is still just a fundamentally muddy, murky, ugly game that I don't think is particularly good. So basically picking up on what Martin's saying, considering the interesting part of this package, the remake of Mafia 1, is not out for 3 more fucking months. Why did they do this?
Why didn't they just wait? And
so strange.
I don't know. I feel like we got sent codes for this. Like 2K gave us this, and I've got to call them out on it. Like, why did they do it? I don't get it.
I found it really odd when you guys were saying the other day about the fact that Mafia 2 was the only one that had actually sort of come out yet, I think, when you were talking about the time. Yeah. And then it's like, well, hold on, but if you're going to release a trilogy, then I kind of want to play it 1, 2, 3, which would make sense to me if I was going to play the whole trilogy.
It's even weirder, Jonesy, because you can, or you'll be able to buy the games separately, or you can buy them as a trilogy.
Which I didn't get either. So, because I've got Mafia 3. So, obviously, if I go on now, I'm going to be able to get the DLC for free, even though I don't have the definitive edition. I'm going to be able to play that game with a janky patch, which won't affect me for sure, because I suppose if it's an Xbox issues.
It's all
I'm not going to jump. I'm not going to jump onto 2, obviously, but then 1 is the one I really want to play, the remake, but I have to wait 3 months to play it. So I'm not going to go play 3 now.
Yeah.
It's a very strange situation.
Look,
I want a package.
Obviously, there's some kind of a reason behind it, but yeah, it makes no fucking sense to me.
I don't
Anyway.
know.
Corona money grab. That is I'm going to keep saying it for every game. Corona money grab.
It seems like a strange misfire to release 2/3 of a trilogy at a point when neither third of that trilogy seems to actually be ready for consumption. I'm trying to be reasonable here. There are obviously still reasons to play both Mafia 2 and 3. Plenty of people are enjoying them right now, I'm sure, but yeah, I'm really kind of confused by this whole situation. I'll be honest.
Right. Well, from one gay, or like we're talking about Mafia 3.
Come on, Chris. Where's your segue skills, bruv? You can't.
I'm getting there.
One more time with conviction.
Okay. Well, from Mafia 3's update breaking the game to another update that's potentially broken a game. Hey, how about that one?
Hey,
I like it. That was very good.
Doom Eternal. All right, great game, has been patched, been tinkered with, as you will, and people have found out that what's happened is it has included Denuvo anti-cheat software into the game, which people have been reporting that the game has been kind of broken and having massive performance issues, and they speculated that it may be because of the Denuvo anti-cheat stuff into it. So this patch was released in May. So obviously any kind of anti-cheat software is going to be a bit intrusive and it can cause performance issues. But Marty Stratton, what is he, like the executive producer on?
I never remember what the difference between Marty and Hugo is. I think Hugo's creative director and Marty might be producer or something like that. I don't know. Or
executive producer, whatever it is. But Marty Stratton, the big dog, explained that they did it because they really wanted to, like, they weren't forced to add it by Bethesda. They chose to add it because they were having a cheating problem in their what was it, battle mode or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then they also had some other stuff coming in with the patches where they tried to tinker with some VRAM stuff, blah blah blah, technical mumbo jumbo, and it caused the game to break for a lot of players. So they have they've committed to releasing another patch that's going to remove the Denuvo anti-cheat, and they will try and reevaluate what they can do to fix the anti-cheating problem. But, fair play to Marty Stratton. He's been very kind of like transparent with a lot of the issues going on with Doom Eternal, such as the Mick Gordon controversy and now this. So Marty Stratton, again, stated it wasn't Bethesda that did it. It's not the Denuvo that's causing the performance problems, but the patch that is upcoming will hopefully fix everything. So, yeah, fair enough.
I love the irony behind this story for me personally, because Doom is the game, or Doom 2 was the game that kind of introduced me to cheats in the first place. And like God mode, no clipping, all weapons, all ammo, and the fact that they've got an issue with cheating. And in the game baked in you can find cheats in the game so you can play. It's just kind of irony.
You'd never argue that cheats should be allowed in competitive multiplayer scenarios, would you?
Oh God, no. It's just like a fun irony.
Yeah.
To,
I mean, is there a massive community for the Doom multiplayer?
I don't even
because
know.
I don't have the game, but when you guys were playing it, there was never any mention of let's play this online or let's play with other people. Yeah. So it's very much let's do the campaign.
I haven't touched the online.
I think it's more novelty than anything else, Martin. I don't think people are that interested. I mean, we may be wrong. But
there was quite a fun. Is an interview that people can check out with Joe Rogan, and I can't remember who was it? Was it Marty Stratton that he was chatting to?
That was Hugo.
That was Hugo. So they were talking about the game, and specifically Joe Rogan kept bringing up the online and the multiplayer and how he, and how that works. And is there a 1v1 mode? And he was like, well, no, there's a 2v1 mode, and you get two demons versus the Slayer and blah. And it was kind of they kept doing the thing that a lot of people do when they make games is they say, oh no, our multiplayer is so much better because it's different and it's like this, and everything he said I was like, it sounds shit. So I've got the game and I haven't even played it yet. He likes Quake. He always talks about Quake a lot.
Quake dude.
But so that's why I think he was getting a little bit like, it should be more like Quake.
What did you?
Hugo was having none of it.
Did you guys see that Good old Joe Rogan is not going to be on YouTube any longer.
Yeah.
He's following the money.
So signed with Spotify. How much was that deal worth?
$100 million, wasn't it?
100 million, yeah.
100.
That's kind of that's that amount of money. I think it reminds me of the situation when there were some high profile movements in the video game streamer scene, and you have people like Ninja and Shroud moving to Mixer and stuff like that. It's got to be that the amount of money on offer past that threshold where you don't actually care what happens to your product afterwards in terms of how popular it is. Like your numbers after the move don't matter because the amount of money the company's putting up is so significant that that's all you need.
Yeah. Like when was the last time you heard anything about Ninja?
Right, exactly.
Wrong, nothing.
The only time I see Ninja now is when Ninja's playing with people who I'm watching on Twitch.
I mean, Spotify is massive, and they've gone wholeheartedly into podcasts, haven't they? It's like they've dived right in there. I imagine that they're basing this not necessarily off Joe Rogan and his properties, but if you get that audience across, and then they know that there's kind of a whole ecosystem of podcasts over there, it'll become people's new hub for listening.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
the number one podcast in the world, and saying you can only listen to it on Spotify.
But they're expecting people to then go, okay, well, I'll listen to the other half a dozen podcasts I listen to now on Spotify, right?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast. It's maybe the one podcast I listen to everyone that comes out, I try and listen to it unless it's someone that I'm not interested in listening to. If they move me to Spotify, I would then definitely pick up the Just Interesting podcast on Spotify because I'm already on Spotify. There you go.
Hold on. So you're not listening to the Just Interesting podcast on Spotify now?
Wow.
I listen to it on YouTube
and iTunes and everywhere else.
Right? I see how it is.
It's available in a whole different number of formats. No, I put it on YouTube because then I get to see their beautiful faces as well. So there's a hint in case you're listening to this. But I'm not going to go to Spotify to get Joe Rogan because I just can't be bothered. It's just like I'll tell you what I'll do with Rogan is I'll watch him on YouTube instead. Like at the moment, until such time as. Unless that is part of the deal, is that he can't put it onto YouTube, and there's a massive time delay, few weeks or something.
But podcasts are part of the thing about podcasts is they're an audio thing for a lot of people. You can't listen to just the audio on YouTube unless you have YouTube Premium, right?
No, but what you can do is, which I often do, is I just push play on the video and stick my phone in my pocket, and it makes no difference.
Yeah. Just unlocked with the screen on. In your pocket.
I do that sometimes. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I think the thing I really like about Spotify, and I have actually converted in a lot of cases to listening to podcasts on Spotify, is because it's ubiquitous in a way that YouTube isn't. I have Spotify on my phone. I have Spotify on my PC, both PCs obviously, and now I obviously have Spotify exactly, Chris, on my PlayStation, which is something that no one else can say. So the idea that, and Spotify is, when it's working right, is pretty smart about devices and where you're signed in and where you're playing stuff. The idea that I'm on my computer, hit pause, go and sit over on the PlayStation, hold down the PlayStation button and press play, and it picks up where it left off. It's just too convenient to turn my back on it at this stage.
It's true. Yeah. You can be doing other things at the same time.
So
100%. Yeah.
On the device, even. It can
It's weird because I just don't use Spotify, and because I don't listen to things like the way you do, maybe, Jamie. I suppose I'm one of those people that they're trying to move over. I don't know how they can move me over then. For me, it's just laziness. It's like downloading the app, because I've got a Spotify account, but I never use it. So it's like downloading the app, installing it, and then remembering my password. It's just those three things that I need to do.
I can understand why there's a little bit of laziness that affects kind of that signing up and getting yourself stuck into a process. But for me, it's actually at the point where, for music especially, anything other than Spotify is inconvenient. Because if I'm on YouTube, I'm like, what do I want to listen to? Search for it, what am I going to watch, the music video or this lyric video, or is it even here? And Spotify, because you obviously are creating playlists over the course of years, but also Spotify is quite good at tracking what you've listened to in the past and creating playlists for you. Like any other way of listening to music other than Spotify at this time in my life is inconvenient. Spotify, I literally just open, and what I want to listen to is right there for some reason.
Those daily mixes.
It's another perk that you've got not having kids, Jamie, because my Spotify recommendation list is full of like fucking
the wheels on the bus.
Like the Gruffalo soundtrack.
The Wiggles for me.
Actually, of course, all three of you, your YouTube recommendations must be fucked as well. It's just Baby Shark in everything.
No, because we have YouTube Kids. That is what they use. They're not allowed to use my YouTube. But so it's funny you say about music because, and again, it's purely for having kids. Is we've got 2 Amazon Echoes, so what we do in different rooms, and the kid and my 4-year-old can use it. So everything I use for that is Amazon Music because he can just say, "Play this," and then she does.
You have that as well,
so
Chris,
I don't
right?
touch.
That is a Google speaker, and I've got 2 more throughout my house. But that's connected to
Which one's that, Martin? Amazon.
That's the Amazon Echo, the original one.
Yeah.
Interesting. The man who is part of a arguably conspiracy-focused podcast.
I've never ever bought one, but I've got 2 in the house. They've been donated.
They are kind of the gifts to accumulate, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I've got one of these bad boys, and I've got 2 small ones. I haven't bought any of them.
No.
You go on Amazon from October onwards, and it's like, how about giving your loved one an Alexa for $1.99?
That's it.
It's
Just
like,
give it away.
Sure.
Yeah.
See, even in my car, I can play Amazon Music through Alexa. So it's so easy with kids. You just tap the button and go, "Hey, play this," and she does. With Spotify, as far as I'm aware, doesn't have that functionality
Martin,
yet. Or maybe
is your Alexa on at the moment?
No, on purpose.
Okay.
He smashed it. He's cut the plug
That's
off.
the thing, though, Josie. You can say to your Alexa or whatever to play something on Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, totally. Dude.
Hence,
I use it with I've just always had Amazon Music.
mine's connected primarily to Spotify, so if I say play a song, it automatically does it on Spotify.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Whereas mine, automatically links to Amazon Music. Interesting.
Yeah. All right. How about we move on to the big boy? The reason why everyone is here. Only an hour into the podcast, but there we go. Ghost of Tsushima. There was a Sony PlayStation State of Play last week, Thursday, and they showed off about 19 minutes of gameplay, like non-stop gameplay. And it was pretty cool to see, because up until that point, we weren't really sure what to expect from this game. Obviously, it looked cool. You play as a fucking ninja samurai dude, and it was from the devs of Infamous. But besides that, how did it work? This, that, the other, question marks. But they showed off.
Before we start talking about this, can I give a shout out to obviously Jamie, but also to a couple of our Patreons who we did a voice chat as we were watching it live, the State of Play. So who was it? Phoenix was there, Peaswad was there. I can't remember who else was there, Jamie.
Molly would have been there, probably Cameron. Mickey J showed up for that call at one point, Scary Omen.
You guys chatted for a bit afterwards as well, didn't you? And I had to shoot off.
Ages.
Yeah. So we all jumped on the voice chat on Discord and we chatted whilst we watched it, which was very cool. So thank you to those guys.
That is the perks of supporting all time. Well, not all time gaming. That's the perks of supporting.
He's done it.
I told you it's going to take a long time to get the ATG thinking out of my head because it was such a big part of my life for.
Come on! Don't get depressed about it. You're gonna cry, bitch.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
It's a bit strong. But yeah, anyway, on the fucking 19 minutes of gameplay, we got to see a bunch of stuff. Some stuff that I wasn't particularly sold on, or I just had question marks around. So it focused on exploration. So, a big map, we were told, it's going to be a very big game and a very difficult game as well. But it started off in a kind of like, there's no waypoints, there's no markers. You can open your map and you can say, look where you want to go and head in that direction. And they're using this system where you can, it's going to sound weird, but the only way I can describe it is you press a button to summon wind, and the wind will show you where you need to go once you've selected a point on the map. But it's never going to show you a marker. And I get what they're trying to do. This is kind of an issue that I have with some games recently is they're trying to de-gamify games, right? And I'm for it to a certain extent. If you want to get rid of markers, that's fine. But from the looks of the trailer, you press a button, and each time you press a button, the contextual menu pops up. It selects the wind, and then this wind blows to show you where you need to go. For the first 1 or 2 times, I'm sure that's perfectly fine and acceptable. But what happens when you're playing this game and you're 20 hours deep? Or you're going to want to be fucking bringing up a menu to select, hey, listen to the fucking wind each time that you want to go somewhere.
I'm kind of with you. I had this immediate reaction, but then Jamie pointed out to me, I think quite rightfully so, that in the context of the game, I think it actually does work. It is a little bit clunky because if anyone didn't see it, it is kind of like, it's very obvious. It's like a big animated sort of like gust of wind that flies past you, and it's directional, and it shows you. It's a visual thing as well, like you can see it. But it kind of fits in the aesthetic. It is. I do think that you're right, Chris, in that after 20 hours, it might feel a bit clunky. I just thought of an even better way they could have done it right then when you were talking. Like if you pulled out a handful of blossom and you threw it into the air and it blew in the direction you need to go.
He does do that. Yeah. That does happen.
Oh, does he do that as well?
Yeah, you can do that.
Oh, okay. Then like that, it fits with the context of the game.
I think
should be a game designer.
Maybe I must have seen it, and then it was in my subconscious.
You were eating your tea at the time. To be fair,
I was eating a steak and chips. Someone missed it.
I really like it. I think
does
it's good.
fit.
Thematically, it works, and I imagine that they're going to make sure that it's not crazy repetitive, aren't they? Surely, as designers.
Well, you hope so.
Yeah, hopefully.
I like the idea, and I hope that I'm wrong that it gets in the way and it's not intrusive, because it's cool that they're taking this risk, and I do hope that it pays off for them. But at the same time, by striving to be like this super authentic kind of thing, like at some point they've got to realize I'm here to play a game, and it's not like I want fucking Far Cry markers and it's telling me every 10 meters turn left, that's not necessary. But I just feel like it might be a little bit too esoteric.
I mean, you're forgetting the animals, Chris. The animals that can guide you.
The animals, you can pet the fox and it takes you to treasures.
I couldn't gather it. Like, animals don't do the thing that wind does. Animals take you to places of interest. Was that right?
Yeah.
The wind is the thing that shows you where your waypoint is.
Yeah. So you'd open up a map and you say, or rather, you'd look at the vista and you say, okay, there's some smoke there. You'd open up the map. You're trying to approximate where that would be. You set a marker, or there's not a marker.
Like, I love that. I just got to say, I do like that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But I just hope it's not intrusive. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how the removal of guidelines and mechanics could be intrusive on surface level. And you mentioned like the de-gamification of games. Yeah. I think it stems from, there was a discussion we used to have quite a lot, ironically, back in the ATG days, because I think given enough time, we might have made a game changes about it. But it's interesting, you get kind of this buffer period in games, don't you, where they take long enough to make that a game will come out that kind of shifts the paradigm a little bit. Yeah. And then a few years later, you'll see the games that were made in the shadow of that game. And obviously what we're talking about here is Breath of the Wild, and the idea of what happens if you create an open world game that doesn't tell you where to go and encourages you to find the places that you want to go next for yourself.
Explore and discover,
Exactly, guide yourself. And, we saw smaller implementations of that, simpler implementations of that. You could point to Ubisoft franchises like Assassin's Creed and Ghost Recon that introduced, I can't remember what they called it, but basically like a non-guided exploration focus mode where rather than giving you a marker and telling you where to go, they gave you clues as to where it would be on the map. Yeah. So, for example, head to an area near the coast that's got a big lighthouse in it, and you'll find this. And it tries to do that kind of stuff. Didn't really work, but now we're seeing games that have been able to go through the majority of their development with that in mind. And I think it's interesting. I agree that the idea of having to have a visual representation of wind that you follow, when I first saw that, I was like, oh, okay. But I feel like it being intrusive is not the concern I have. It's more just whether or not it becomes over like boring almost.
Yeah,
like,
so maybe intrusive is not the word. Maybe tedious is the word.
Yeah, like do you have to fucking hit the wind button 10 times a journey and stand still and go, where's the wind going this time? This way, there I go. Like, if it's that, then that's where, it gets...
You know what it reminded me of? That mission in The Last of Us where Ellie's on her own and she's hunting that fucking deer.
Right.
And you have
in winter, yeah.
Yeah, and you got to like track this deer. And it's like, oh, fuck, am I going to have to like track this wind? And basically... I just hope...
You follow the... I see. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say, because in that you follow the footprints, right?
Yeah, so in this, is it like, oh, I need to go to this place. So let me press the wind button, and then it blows the wind for a second, and then the wind dissipates. And then it's like, well, fuck.
But quite frankly, they didn't show us enough for us to know if it's going to be an issue, right?
Yeah.
Because I guess the idea is right. So if you're looking at, like you say, the vista and you can see the smoke and you go, I want to go there. If you then leave the top of that hill, you go down to the trees, you then get turned around because you get into a fight or whatever, and you've got no idea the direction you're going. I imagine the issue is, in reality, you'd have to get up somewhere high, find the place again, because then the map's pointless because you don't have a compass. You can't like orient yourself.
In that instance, it makes perfect sense for sure.
So you need something just to go, oh, by the way, it's that way.
Yeah.
And then it's in that rough direction.
I guess, look, as long as they... I can't remember the term for the... Jamie, you'll probably remember because you've used it quite a lot. But as long as there is enough things over a course of time, it's like, hey, enough discoverables in a 1 to 2 minute period, then it should be fine, right? So we used to talk about it in relation to Breath of the Wild and Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Where from any point now, while you're playing the game, there needs to be like 5 points of interest in a 5 minute.
Right. Yeah.
I can't remember what the terminology
for some reason, I can't remember what the terminology we were using for that is, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was where Steph Murphy then said if he walked home, he wouldn't talk to anyone. And we were like, great point.
All right. Anyway, look.
Love you, Steph, if you're listening.
The wind was not the only thing they showed off. They did show off to their I don't even know what the fucking word is. To their benefit?
Credit?
No. To their credit. There you go. They did show off a lot of stuff like different styles of combat. So there are like 1v1 duels where you can face off against opponents. You can also choose to play whether you're going to be as, going through a mission as a samurai or a ghost. So the samurai being a more traditional kind of like hands-on, I'm holding a sword, you're holding a sword, let's fucking go at it. And then Ghost was more a case of, I guess the title of the game is Ghost of Tsushima, where you are a ninja and you're skulking around and you're stealth killing and assassinating people from the distance and, drop a smoke bomb and fucking disappear.
Was it just...
I was chatting to...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, sorry, Mark.
I was going to say, was it just me or did you think that some of that looked great and other parts looked really janky?
Totally.
100%.
Like there's a massive difference between the parts that you thought, yes, this looks fluid and really, really intuitive, and other bits I was like, that looks like a PS2 fight scene. Really, genuinely, it was quite strange.
Where they just kind of like snap into place, and just something about it was just a bit off. And you hope that it was just a case of that's the vertical slice that they created, and it was created a while ago, and they've moved on from that point. But yeah, there was some jank to it. Some of it did look extremely fluid. But going to the samurai versus ghost thing, I was telling Jamie about this. What I'm concerned about this is it always reminds me of Skyrim, right? Skyrim, there were obviously numerous ways to play the game. You could be like a thief or an assassin. You could carry a great big sword, or you could be an archer.
Chris, you're wrong. There's only one way to play Skyrim, and it is as the sneaky archer.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what annoys me about it. It's like, hey,
I didn't realize I was stealing your point. I was just trying to make a joke.
No, but that's what it was, right? Like, unless you were doing the sneaky archer, you weren't really playing the game to its fullest. Whether they intended that or not, like, that's just how the exploits began. That seemed to be the way that you had to play Skyrim, which was annoying for me because I always like to swing stuff around with a sword. But
so from what I of this state of play, the thing that kind of it made me think of when they did the switch between the samurai and the sort of the more ninja thing, because there were some elements of Assassin's Creed I got from when you were playing as the ghost anyway. In that, how in Assassin's Creed you have multiple loadout slots, so you can have one slot where you're tooled up with everything to be fight in a specific way.
Right.
You can then have another loadout which is then kitted out to be more of an assassin class, and you can switch between those two things quite easily.
Right, okay.
In Odyssey. I don't know if it's in.
But why can't I remember that at all?
I don't know.
Have I just written Odyssey out of my memory?
Maybe you never used it, Jamie.
In the inventory. So you did have to buy it, to be fair. So you had you had multiple so you know how you could change armor, and one you can get like 1,000 plus 20% assassin damage, and then another bit of armor would be like plus 10 warrior damage, and then you could have loadouts that were differed, so you could have one set, but you had to buy it. It was like 5,000 gold or something ridiculous to unlock another slot. But it made me think that maybe what would happen is before you actually engaged in that one small area, you could switch your loadout as easily as maybe you do in a game like Assassin's Creed to say, I'm going to take on these dudes as an assassin, as a ghost, and then if I then get into an altercation, I can switch to a samurai. Because one thing I thought was, I don't want to get, and I know this would happen to me, I'd go into one of those encampments, try and assassinate a couple of people, get spotted, and then literally have no good weapons to get into a full-on samurai fight, and then have to just leg it.
From some of the screens where they were changing the armor quickly, you know, it showed the ghost, and it showed him changing the different armors and colors and all that kind of thing. It seemed like that was the case, that there was literally just a menu that you could change up, because there was a scene where the, I don't know whether it was the ghost or the samurai, is walking along, and his armor and clothes change as he's walking.
Right. So that's kind of what I was hoping, is that it's almost an on the fly, very easy to change and swap.
I thought that was just something that they did to show it off, rather than that's in the game.
It could be, but but they showed anyway, I guess. So.
Well, so the devs have said that you can chop and change as you please, and they're not going to force you to play one way or the other. But it's going to be such a fine balancing act, right? Because what if you only want to play samurai, but then is that an underpowered way of playing the game?
You'd like to think they've accounted for as many different play styles as possible, especially, you know, I feel like at this stage in the game, you don't go out on your big state of play gameplay blowout and show two very different approaches to the same combat scenario if they weren't both as viable as each other. But then again, as Deus Ex fans will know, there have been plenty of times before where games have marketed themselves on their open-ended gameplay approaches, only for, in reality, one approach to be feasible when it comes down to it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the most famous one coming up now is Cyberpunk, right? Is that they've literally said you can play that game without firing a bullet if you want to, or you can play it as like some tank who goes in and blows everyone's faces off. Like, but we all know that at the end of the day, some of those options are not going to be open to you.
One that springs to mind is Dishonored. Did you play that game?
Oh yeah,
so it's you could go in all guns blazing, but you won't survive very long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it also stuffs you up later in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Dishonored, we're thinking the same thing, Chris, had a system where like later levels would change based on how basically violent you'd been prior.
Yeah, because you'd kill more people, which would spread that plague more, which means there'd be more rats and stuff. But then it also changed the ending, because the boat captain kind of betrays you at the end by alerting people to your presence. Yeah. So basically, if you were like a balls to the wall guy, and then you wanted to do the last mission as stealthy, he basically took that option away from you. I quite liked it. I thought it was cool. He kind of flows up a flare and he goes, you've killed so many people, you know, like, here's your punishment. You've killed so many people. Now they're going to know you're here. So kind of forced you into that direction that you were playing the entire game anyway. But I thought it was quite a nice solution.
It's interesting.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. But no, I think I'm a little bit worried. I mean, I think you're right. It could be a case of going, it's called Ghost of Tsushima, like as someone said, like it's not called Samurai of Tsushima. Yeah. So
I just wondered, like,
to play it like a ghost.
Yeah, if they never gave you the option of a samurai, like no fucking problem. You're buying a ninja game, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
I guess so.
Or if it's in the story where no, you start off as a samurai, which I think is what's going to happen, and then like the Mongol hordes destroy your village, and so you turn into the ghost. Like that's fine as well. But by telling me that you can chop and change on the fly whenever you want, I don't know. It kind of gives me a bit of pause. Look, having said all of this, I know I'm sounding quite downer on the game. I fucking thought it was a phenomenal kind of showpiece, and I am seriously excited for this game. It looks like if they do the things that I'm concerned about right, and everything else looks amazing as it does, I'm very hyped for this game.
It's pushed me. You guys will know that before this, I was kind of like, I'm not sure if I want to get it. I'm not sure if it's my sort of thing. This definitely pushed me towards I'm going to get it. Yeah. It's shored up the things I was worried about. I liked the ghost side of it, which is what originally got me excited, like the climbing around the rafters and things. Yeah. Adding some samurai stuff and making it look a bit like a few other games and things, it's just got me more excited for it. And there were no numbers coming out of heads, so I was happy.
Hey, so, even better than that, you could press a button and fucking disembowel the dude, so yeah.
Let me break the illusion for you, Jonesy. even though there are no numbers coming out of their heads, there are still numbers coming out of their heads. You just can't see them because that's how fucking video games work. Yeah. I don't know.
That's
for me,
how the illusion works for me.
There was before, and there is still after the state of play, far more optimism than concern. There are obviously caveats as we've discussed, but no part of me is. Maybe I'm being naive, but no part of me is particularly worried about Ghost of Tsushima. I'm looking forward to it. I can't say that title, can I? I've turned into a.
There's interesting.
That's why I just call it Ghost of Asakura.
The bloke who was doing the presentation was like Ghost of Tsushima. Or Tsushima.
Yeah, also, shout out to Sony for keeping up their track record of only letting the most boring people in every division of every company do voiceovers for games.
It's so boring, the voice. Although some of it looked stunning, though, didn't it? Like the when he looked out over the map and there was a part where he was in like a purple lavender field and it just looked incredible.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I really, sorry, Jamie, I really liked what they're doing with the kind of the film filter and all of that stuff, like the black and white mode, being able to choose the not that it's anything new, but Japanese or English dubbing. Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah. It would have been. I was going to say
we were trying to guess. Sorry, Jamie, go on.
They're just almost piggybacking off what Chris said. That seems to be the thing they're going for in total. Almost is this idea of it's not necessarily just about visual fidelity, but it's also just about that cinematic look. Yeah. Like everything's almost got like a slightly desaturated feel to it. The camera takes up interesting positions when you're running or you're riding on horseback and things like that. I'm really liking the look of it.
You know that black and white mode?
We were sort of saying, what's it going to be like? Are you going to pick? What are people going to pick? Are they going to go subtitles or are you going to go like dubbed? That's going to be the big decision when you start playing.
Yeah. I reckon you can change that, can't you? During the game?
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
I think you change it on the fly.
Be the thing.
Can I tell you what it's going to be? Is people are going to fuck around with that for like the first half hour and then just leave it on the standard.
Yeah.
It's like when you had a 3DS, right? And any game you got, you'd slide that 3D slider all the way up, and then about 20 minutes later, you're like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it.
You know
Maybe. I don't know.
You know the black and white mode they have?
Yeah.
What would make that cooler is if they still had the blood being red.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'd be wicked.
Schindler's List it.
Yeah.
Or as known in the industry, you just got to Schindlerify it.
Yeah. Schindlerify it.
Or you could do. I suppose they could do it with certain, like different colours in every scene. So, like if there's a whole lavender field, you could have all the purple of the flowers stay purple.
Well, this is it, right? Because I remember before this one, the big kind of so-called gameplay trailer, the big so-called gameplay trailer where it was the one where you're talking about where you go in the rafters and you assassinate that, was it like a monk or something? And then
you stab someone through a wall.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at the end of that, you were fighting the person who you were with, your companion, with a sword fight on top of this like hill, and there was like all these autumnal colors and stuff. And I think that's really cool. And that was such a striking visual thing for me.
Yeah.
If you just have the black and white filter on all the time, like you'll miss out on some of those really cool kind of aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
I can see where they're going for it, though. All the kind of the Kurosawa old school samurai shit.
I think it's cool. I definitely will fuck with that mode for sure.
But I agree that like a lot of like, I think the color's important. They're doing interesting stuff with the palette and the scenes they're creating.
Yeah,
and I think I can't see myself playing black.
It's
and white,
like
personally.
Did you guys ever watch that film Hero with Jet Li?
Yes.
Right. So that was fucking cool because each story that he was telling had a different like overarching color.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And
that's trying to because that fit with that specific thing.
Yeah. So like one where it's like, oh, there's a lot of red in this story and there's a lot of blue in that story. It was really fucking cool.
Hero is the one where he's trying to get to the emperor, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I'd just
what's all Jason Statham?
Not Hero.
Oh yeah.
Transporter.
The one where he. No, the one with the multiple dimensions.
Crank.
Yeah, it's Jason Statham and Jet Li, I thought.
And it's in multiple dimensions. The One. Is it the one?
There you go. Much better movie.
Was Jason Statham in the one?
He was, yeah. He was the cop partner guy, wasn't he?
Fuck, man. I remember the one. No, that was cool. One of my friends had
it was awful.
Oh, I liked it. The end when he was on that fucking planet or whatever, that prison planet with all the other versions of himself.
Oh,
it's the second best Jason Statham movie.
What's the first?
Crank 2 High Voltage.
Crank 2 High. I knew you were going to say Crank.
Now Crank. Crank is good, very good.
Yeah, but
Hero, if no one's seen Hero, like you should check that. It's a fantastic film.
Let's check it out.
Yeah,
great.
Hero is like homework before you play Ghost of Tsushima.
It would definitely set you up, the stylistically.
What do you think, Martin? Is that a day one purchase out on the 17th of July?
Quite possibly. It depends on the old job situation, but, but it's a potential.
It depends how much trouble you get in with the wife for buying The Last of Us 2 the month before.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, I was telling Jamie, like, when our jobs came to an end, I said, you know what I might do is I might just pre-order all of these games now.
Saying, yeah.
It's like, because if I pre-order everything now and then that money's gone and then I just take it from here on out and just try and figure it,
You didn't do it, did you?
No. I'm too fucking scared.
Regrets.
What are you...
You would have been stitched up anyway because loads of the places that took pre-orders, I think, cancelled the pre-orders because of the whole
point.
COVID thing.
Actually,
so you might have just had all your money back.
Yeah, it's fucking...
And then you would have been like, I won't tell the wife about this. I'll just re-pre-order.
Oh, no, but I mean, like, I would have
come back.
just pre-ordered everything on, like, say, PlayStation Store. It just, boom, done,
Right.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've got one pre-order from that period, which is still riding, and I'm waiting until that game got delayed, but it's still coming out, which is, of course, Cyberpunk 2077.
Man, I'm jealous. Like, the fact that you've taken that plunge is very cool. Very, very cool.
We'll see. If like I said, if I don't have any money coming in at the time, I'm sure my wife will not think it's quite so cool.
4 months is a long time when you're unemployed and on lockdown. So
yeah, absolutely.
See how we
right.
go.
Well,
It's true.
from one game that is definitely a day one purchase for many of us to one that is going to be a day one purchase for a lot of 14-year-olds. It is going to be the next Call of Duty. That guy and I don't know, maybe that guy. The next Call of Duty game is rumored to be called Black Ops Cold War. So we've pretty much known for a while that it was going to be a Black Ops. Obviously, nothing is fully confirmed. It's more like what I like to say is confirmed rumors. But it's Treyarch this time around, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because the story was that obviously this would have been the turn of Sledgehammer Games, who made, let me get this right, World War II and Advanced Warfare, I think. God, there's so many of them now.
Maybe.
And of course, one of the reasons we knew for some time at least that this was probably going to be a Black Ops game, rumored at the time to be Black Ops 5, was because we found out from behind the scenes that things were not going to plan on the Call of Duty game that was originally due to be coming out this year, and that Activision really quickly turned things around, came back to Treyarch, which is why they are only having 1 year off rather than what should be 2 years off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, Cold War, not the most active of wars.
Yeah. You're just going to be in Berlin and you're just going to be like going to bars and following people.
Yeah, I mean, it does raise a few questions, definitely, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I think it could be cool. I think like as long as if they look, it's a Call of Duty game, right? So it's always going to be fucking boots on the ground. You've got your fucking machine guns and shit, and you're just going ham. But it would be cool if there was a lot more elements of espionage and spy stuff. I think that would be really cool. We were mentioning it yesterday, actually, weren't we, Martin and Jamie? We were saying one of the best things about World War II, CoD World War II, was that mission in Paris where you infiltrate that Nazi stronghold. And you got to find a contact, and then shit goes tits up, and you got to fight your way out, and then you help liberate that area.
Oh, the worst mission in that game, yeah.
Oh, shut up, Alex. That was by far the best mission in that game.
What? I know. I see. I'm the opposite. I don't like the espionage-y, spy side of COD. I want to just shoot people and like run around.
But that's why that mission was so great, because it had both, right? It had both elements to it. It was something different for the series, and at the end of it, it was like, don't worry, we still got you, COD bros. Here's a fucking, here's a gun. Go fucking wild.
Yeah, I think in some respects, because there's so much shooty that Call of Duty games end up being defined by the sequences that aren't that, in my mind at least. I'm kind of with Chris on that. But I think it's also interesting talking about what Martin was saying actually about the Cold War as a concept to work an action-oriented video game around. What was cool about the first Black Ops was the Cold War element was the fact that, I don't know if you remember, but you were you were strapped in the chair, you were Mason, and you were being asked questions. What do the numbers mean? Blah 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 blah. And you're like having flashbacks to Black Ops missions, that the CIA had tried to get rid of, and that was kind of the concept. So if this is another idea of, yes, it's set during the Cold War, but it's actually uses some kind of framing device to be able to put you in these sort of Black Ops CIA missions that take place overseas and behind enemy lines, that could still be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's fun stuff to do there.
Mm-hmm. And the Cold War, I mean, the expanse of the Cold War is basically from after World War II to the late 80s. So there's tons that you can do within that time frame.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you're heading over to fight a whole bunch of proxy wars, like Afghanistan and
Korea.
all those kinds of things. Korea, yeah. It would be
That's actually quite...
Yeah,
that's an interesting concept if they span that whole time, like you said, Martin. If they start, relatively soon after World War II and they go all the way up to like the fall of the Berlin Wall or something, that could be quite an interesting sort of way to
last mission is you play as fuck, I forgot the dude's name now.
Gorbachev.
Oh, that's annoying.
No. Is he real or is he Call of Duty?
No, a real dude. He's the dude from Baywatch, man. What's his name?
Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff.
Yeah,
David Hasselhoff.
You play
because he sang on top of the wall.
You play as David Hasselhoff, and you got to. It turns into like SingStar, and you got to sing on top of the Berlin Wall. And if you fail, then nukes get launched. But if you win, you slowly you tear down that wall.
That sounds like a Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
There is.
I was going to say
something which is slightly concerning. Not concerning, but could be an issue in that obviously the last Call of Duty game got a little bit of criticism because it changed history slightly, and you had there was a pass where a whole load of Americans
the Highway of Death.
That was it.
The Highway of Death.
That was misreported in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
that wasn't. They didn't change history. They accidentally used a name that was about something else.
No, sorry. I was going to say it was reported at the time that it was like changing a history. But it was
misreported.
It wasn't entirely misreported. It was very interesting that
they came up with a fictional thing and accidentally called it the Highway of Death.
To come up with like a road that a whole bunch of trucks went down and they got bombed by Air Force and they literally flipped the nations is pretty close to saying that
they didn't flip the nations. They came up with a fictional thing and accidentally named it after a thing where in the real scenario it was the other way around. But it was incidental. I truly believe that.
No, my point was going to be that it's interesting, though, that they're now doing a Cold War theme thing, and they could easily do the same thing number of times over by saying America behind the scenes, they were doing this. Yeah. Russia were trying to do this evil stuff, and they did this. And then people come out and go, actually, during the Cold War, they open themselves up for criticism.
That's one thing that is very strange about Modern Warfare, and I will concede is clearly Activision or Infinity Ward or whoever it was not being afraid to throw some punches while they're pulling others, which is that while the Asian countries that are portrayed in Modern Warfare and the terrorist cells that live within them are all completely fictional. I think it's called like Urzikstan or something like that.
Yeah,
it's all made up.
Right, yeah.
Russia is obviously still fucking Russia, always.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're going to make up the Asian country, but Russia's fucking Russia.
Well, so I'm not trying to suggest they did it on purpose with Modern Warfare. I'm just saying like they sort of fell foul of news media and reporting because they're like, well, you've freaking done this. Yeah. So I could see that happening a number of times.
It was a mistake, right? It was still a faux pas, whatever. Whatever you think about it.
For sure.
But what's cool is obviously. So nothing's been confirmed as of yet, but there is a lead up to all of this, and it's taking place right now in Call of Duty Modern Warfare's Warzone mode, which is their battle royale, which is something that we've been playing, as we've said. So there are these bunkers, and now as you're playing the game, you can, pick up these key cards. I mean, I don't know too much about it, to be fair. Jamie, you probably know a bit more than I do.
Honestly, not really, other than those bunkers have obviously been in there since the very first iteration of Warzone.
Yeah.
And there have been hints around the map that you can maybe get behind them, or there might be something behind them, but I know that there were early versions of Warzone where people were able to clip through the environment and discover that actually there wasn't anything in those bunkers at those stages, which led many people to believe that it was sort of an Easter egg that had been seeded very early to then be added to over time. And I think we're starting to see the steps being taken in that direction.
Yeah, because these bunkers are starting to open with key cards, and I think you were telling me there was a pay phone where you could pick up the phone, but previously nothing had happened.
There are a bunch of like laptops, computers, and phones that if you walk up to, you might have seen the prompt if you played the game enough. It'll be like answer phone or but nothing happens. Nothing happens.
So
I like the fact that the devs have gotten smarter that they don't put it in at the very beginning of the game because they know people always discover it and then go, you pieces of shit.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised if every patch where they change change the placement of a tree and there's 26 gigs. There was another fucking patch now, 26 gigs. It's like, oh my God, the most unoptimized game in the fucking planet. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be cool. My question is when Black Ops Cold War comes out, what does that mean for the future of Warzone? Because Warzone is wildly successful.
Yeah. And
more so than Blackout ever was.
Yeah, and the tricky thing with Warzone is for as much as it is a standalone thing that a lot of people own removed from Call of Duty Modern Warfare, it is still inherently tied to Modern Warfare. It is still that same launcher. It's still the same main menu. It's still the same kind of ecosystem in terms of you buy the battle pass that works across all of them. So if you have a situation where Black Ops Cold War has its own multiplayer and presumably a battle pass, is there now a separate battle pass for Warzone and for Black Ops Cold War? I don't know.
And what if they have Black Ops Cold War Warzone and then...
Well, yeah.
And then it just fragments everything, right? Like,
what if they just bring it across? So you have to, download the new one. You have to download.
If you only own Warzone, then it updates your client so that it now launches out of Black Ops. And if you could try and launch Warzone out of Modern Warfare, then maybe it still works. And I think the other thing they could potentially do with this, we actually talked about this possibility before when we assumed that Blackout from Black Ops 4 would be the battle royale they'd stick with, is this is obviously a huge opportunity to implement a new map. And obviously, in this case, a potentially very different one.
Yeah, very different.
Like a 1980s map would be wicked.
It would be cool. But they got to do something, right? Because very few people are going to want to stand to have a 100 gig plus install of Modern Warfare and then be told, oh yeah, by the way, Black Ops Cold War is another 120 gigs. It's like, come on.
It's the way we're going though, right? Every game that seems to come out now,
mad.
Big games are at that size. So.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
every game that comes out. I have to go through my library and go, what am I deleting today so that I can install this?
It's gonna have to get to a point where all the special editions come with additional hard drives.
Yeah, mine's only a 500 gig PlayStation, so I struggled.
Right, so you've got it extra bad. Yeah, for sure.
All right, and the last piece of news today: Paper Mario. Nintendo dropped a surprise trailer, just completely out of nowhere, for a new Paper Mario game, which we knew was coming out in terms of there were rumors and speculation on it. But yeah, Paper Mario The Origami King was announced. Do any of you guys care at all about the story?
No.
I mean...
not particularly. I don't have a Nintendo system other than a 3DS, so... No.
So that's a no and no and
well,
no.
The caveat for me, the asterisk is, I guess, is that I played Paper Mario the 1,000-Year Door on the GameCube, and I was a fan of it back in the day.
So this is looking to be more aligned to that rather than like the Paper Marios that were on the 3DS, which I think is only a good thing.
You know,
but then again, I never played any. I haven't played a Paper Mario since, so I don't even know what they did wrong. I don't know what.
I played Sticker Star, and I wasn't a fan. I played the Super Paper Mario on the Wii, and I fucking loved that game because that was cool. But that was much less an RPG and more. I don't know. It wasn't even a platform.
You know, if I had a Nintendo system, I think I would be excited for this. I'm not going to get one, so it doesn't have any relevance to me. But I think I would play it.
Stemming from your appreciation for 1,000-Year Door back in the day, or just...
Yeah, maybe a bit of nostalgia, but, when it's got the Mario seal of approval, Mario games tend to be good.
Yeah, well, that's a very good way. That's probably why I will buy this game. It will be the first Switch game I will buy since I was given The Witcher 3 at Christmas, which is a pretty damning indictment of the state of Switch releases in 2020.
Yeah, it's kind of mad, especially that they're saying, oh, hey, that there's not going to be any Nintendo Directs for a very long time. And they had hinted at delays in a lot of their products thanks to COVID. So I don't know.
They don't care. They're sitting on that Animal Crossing money now. They're sitting on all those turnips.
Ring.
That's so true.
Ring
Animal
Fit
Crossing
Adventure.
is about to become the best-selling game of all time or something. I don't know. It's
madness. Absolute madness. But yeah, there you go. Paper Mario, it's a thing. Check it out if you want. We're not going to labor on it because we're not too overly enthused about it. But yeah, a Nintendo game with Mario, it's probably going to be good. There you go. All right, guys. Well, anything else you guys want to cover?
Can I do a shameless plug?
Of course you can.
In case anyone has missed it and doesn't know, every Saturday I give stuff away on my channel, SuperShow Jonesy on YouTube. So go there on Saturday, and I'll be giving something else away.
Good stuff.
What is it, Jonesy? What is it, Jonesy?
I can't tell you because you have to play along. Basically, you guess what it is, and then if you guess first, you win it. I've given away a Ring Fit. I've given away Ring Fit Adventure. I've given away a Millennium Falcon, Lego Millennium Falcon.
Ooh.
Sorry. What else have I given away?
Nemesis.
A Kindle was the last.
Kindle, yeah.
The last thing I gave away.
Funko Pop.
What's it called?
Nemesis Funko Pop.
That's it.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, if you like free stuff and you think you can guess what it is before anyone else, I give you clues and then people can see if they can win it.
There's some serious prizes, Jonesy.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been impressed with the quality of the prizes thus far.
Yeah.
This one,
shit.
it might work slightly. No, this one is the best. This one is the best one so far.
Oh, the best.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I ask you this
so
then?
far.
Is it the most expensive so far? Or is it...
Possibly.
Whoa.
I might have
What's
to-
been the
must
most
have-
expensive so far? Must have been the
Millennium
Millennium Falcon,
Falcon.
right?
The Lego Millennium Falcon was that's like 150 quid, I think. So
Actually, yeah. Wait, and if this one is either as expensive or nearly as expensive as that, then...
you're doing all right if you win it.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
It's cash.
So-
Cold hard cash.
so yeah.
Is it the log into the channel? Is that the prize?
Then it wouldn't be worth anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's my
Yeah.
kids' bank accounts.
yeah. So I'm SuperShow Jonesy on YouTube. Come along on Saturday.
Go and check it out.
But this one will be slightly different. So because so Jamie you might like this, and Chris as well, because you guys I think have struggled to get there in time a couple of times.
Yes.
And I
Yeah,
Jamie said
because you
that yours
moved
seems
it
to-
earlier last week into my sleeping hours. So rude.
I know. But I've had a few people on the Patreon say the same thing. Like they struggle because they're different time zones and things. So this time I'm not going to tell people what it is at the end of the live stream.
Oh.
That will be the first chance you get it. But basically people can guess all week long and then I will reveal what it is the Saturday after. So if no one gets it on the live stream, somebody could guess it midweek and they can get
I like
it.
it.
But
I like
it's still first come, first serve, right? It's not
Yes, exactly. Yeah. First come, first serve.
It gives
not
more
like
opportunity if people
everyone
don't
who
get
got it right goes into a raffle. It's not one of those situations.
No. First come, first serve. But it will give if nobody guesses it on the
So
live stream.
if I tune in 24 hours later, watch the video, it's really obvious. Scroll down and see the comment that already says it.
Don't bother.
then
I've
don't
lost.
bother. Well, no, but you would. How would you know if it was right? You wouldn't know if it was that or
Because your
not.
clues are super obvious.
But they won't be as obvious this time.
Another reason to tune in.
It will be harder because it has to be by virtue of giving more people more chance to play. So
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I was losing. So many people were saying it's really hard to make it for that 10-minute slot on a Saturday. You know, I just missed it. So I thought I'll expand it out. So hopefully it will last a
That's a
couple
good
of
idea.
days. People can play.
Nice.
along.
Nice one, Joe.
But is it still going to be premiered?
It will be premiered. So the best. So if you get on the premiere,
you're going to be
and you could be
you're
first.
going to be sat in the live chat, and by the time the premiere's over, you're going to know whether or not someone has already won it, but you're not going to tell
I
us.
will. No,
You
because
devious man.
But this is it's basically just like I said. So the premiere is the best opportunity because if it is obvious to you, you could win it in the premiere. But if nobody in the premiere gets it, which nearly happened, so the Amazon Kindle, I think no one guessed it until I kind of was just revealing what it was. So that could have been that
Oh
was a
yeah,
lot
right. Because
harder,
you don't want a situation where no one guesses it. You take out a Kindle, and then it's literally the first person to just type what they see.
Yeah.
right. So that has almost happened.
I
with
got
the Kindle,
I got the Kindle one on the something about you made a reference to starting fires or starting a fire with this.
Right,
thing.
right.
That's where I was like, oh, Kindle.
All right, yeah.
Right, yes. Yeah. So you probably were nearly in with the win with that one because it was quite late that someone guessed it.
Oh, there have definitely been times where I've thought it's that, and then as I've gone and looked, I've seen it going up the chat and thought.
I've seen one comment go bang and then another one bang, and they were both correct, and I was just like,
"Oh
sorry,
shit,
dude."
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. And what about you, Martin? What can we expect coming up from Just Interesting?
Well, this evening I'm recording the latest podcast with Robin and Alex.
Nice.
So there's that. I can't tell you exactly what it's on because I don't know yet. Because I'm not hosting this week, so I'm not coming up with the main topic.
Right, okay.
But there's that, and then Robin recently released a video about plagiarism within the early Batman comics, which is done quite well. So if you're interested in comics, then go check that one out. And just come on over, subscribe, and take a listen if you haven't already. Check us out.
Hell yeah.
I was quite happy with my comment on that video because I think I posted Robin finally takes down Batman.
Yes.
Nice. Classic.
It's good.
An original comment, if ever there was one.
An original. I didn't see anyone else post it first.
I think it's there's a comment I saw earlier where on the Batman video, it was obviously a diehard Batman fan that wasn't happy that we had said that it was ripped off, basically. And they just put liar and loads of angry faces.
Honestly, sometimes reading comment sections of videos like that are way better than the actual video because people just get so salty about things.
Oh, there was a great one where we spoke about whether there's going to be a civil war, another American civil war, and someone just put in the comment section, "I can't believe how little you understand about freedom." That's it. No context.
That is amazing. I want to get that tattooed on my arsehole.
Yeah, it's quite something.
That's wicked.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Chris, are you doing a live stream again this week?
This week, you know what?
Not decided yet.
I'd like to. It's just difficult, man. Like it's really difficult. Partly from a motivational point of view, but also from a scheduling point of view. What I was thinking, like,
sure, yeah.
If depending on who edits this episode, if it's me, then obviously I'm working tomorrow. But if it wasn't me, I was thinking maybe I just stream during the day and just try that out. Just a lot more casual. Because up to this point, Jamie pointed it out, like all the streams I've been doing have been very kind of like hardcore games where I've struggled to take my eyes away from the action that's happening to look at the chat and interact. So it would be good to kind of slow things down a bit and get into more of a relaxed game where I can just interact with people. But then again, if it's during the day and it's a time that a lot of our typical audience isn't around, I don't know how it's going to work out. So who knows? Plus, I still need to try and break. I've got to get my numbers up so that I can break into a Twitch affiliate, which I'm halfway there. So it'll be good.
Decent.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube or listening, if you are listening on a podcast platform of your choice, as I've said before numerous times, we are a 5-star podcast. Do leave us a review, even if it's not 5 stars. That's okay. And do, like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. If you're listening on the podcast, why don't you check out the YouTube and vice versa, because there's a little bit of something for everyone. And with that, I guess...
at the very least, to check out Jamie's shiny head.
Yeah. Well, it's not too shiny.
It's because there's a light right above there, so if I lean back, you can see there. And also, I've obviously got my window open on it because it's such a lovely early summer's day. But yeah, I guess I can't deny it anymore.
I was just thinking that as soon as you shaved your head, the God ray came down like...
Maybe it's a bit of that. I don't know. I feel like it's getting into that awkward middle stage already, where like some parts of it look longer than others. You can tell where it grows faster than in other places. Like
you got to be careful you don't get the fuzzball look. That's the biggest problem.
Oh,
right?
Dude, I'm doomed to it. Like that's why hairdressers. Every time I ask for a number that's particularly short, they're always like, "Are you sure it's gonna stick out?" So there will definitely be a fuzzball element. Like I'll never be as short on the sides as. Chris, you get it when you get your... And Martin's is right now, actually. Yeah. Is that a homebrew job?
Yeah, I did my sides again.
That looks really good, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to sort mine out. Like, oh, man, it's...
Yeah, Chris, yours... I'll
do this.
I can't see you. It's kind of blurred into your headphones. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you need to get those sides looked at.
It's a shocker. All right, well, usually we leave the podcast with a code word for people that have come to the end of our lovely 1 hour 48/1 hour 49 long episode. So, Martin, as the guest of honor, would you do us the favor? Would you do us the honor of selecting a code word
It can be
for
anything.
this episode? Absolutely.
Anything you want.
Absolutely anything.
Watermelon felon.
I like
Whoa,
it. I like it.
watermelon
Yeah.
felon.
Fantastic.
I'm always down for that. Hell yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. And with that, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll catch you next time. See ya.
Bye.
See ya.